Swift.
The second semi-final then of the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, powered by Qatar Airways. Australia versus South Africa at the Eden Gardens. Australia and South Africa in studio. Matthew Hayden right here with me. Dale Steyn did occupy that chair at the start of the tournament. He's back home right now.
He's in the kitchen ready to go. What are you cooking up? Why
don't we ask him how he's feeling on the eve of yet another World Cup semi-final for South Africa? I know how his dogs are feeling now.
Yeah, the hounds are hungry.
Dale, what's it like? What's the mood like?
Yeah, it's good. I think the mood in South Africa in general is actually pretty good. I've been chatting to some of the guys in the South African cricket team, David Miller, Marco Jansen in particular. They feel very excited about the prospect of trying to win the semi-final and go on to win the final, especially with the Springboks recently winning the Rugby World Cup just around the corner the other day. So there's this. It's actually been quite nice being back in South Africa because there's this real good feel that there's a chance that South Africa could potentially do a double and win a Cricket World Cup and a Rugby World Cup in a matter of weeks apart from each other, which would be pretty phenomenal. And I think the guys in the team right now are feeling that sense of a possibility too.
The only trouble is there's a semi-final in the way, Dale.
Yeah, well, stop it, Haydos. Behave yourself. They can also do a double. They can also do a double against Australia. But it seems like such a long time ago now, Haydos, that Australia went down to South Africa in Lucknow. So much has happened since. We talk about the toss factor. We talk about who's favourites. Put that into perspective. How important is it? And have the scales tilted in favour of Australia with the form they've shown?
Look, I think they're better. I sense that there's cracks in the Australian side, which South Africa may be able to explore up in Kolkata. The first big challenge for both of these teams, of course, is the fact that this is the hardest wicket in the World Cup to bat on. You know, there's a wicket falling on average every 25 runs. You know, so they've got a couple of factors there that are making it difficult. Firstly, the amount of seam, not so much up front, but in overs 31 to 50. You know, so you've got some really good exponents from an Australian perspective. Mitch Starc gets the ball to swing around. It's less than a degree, but that's enough when it comes to the power hitting phase. And then also the degree of turn is the highest in this World Cup of all the venues. On average, it's 3.5 degrees.
Yeah.
But also in that last match in England, you saw that the way that they bowled in that second innings there, it was actually over 4 degrees. You know, so that's a really significant benefit for Shampsy and also our boy Zamps, who's the only reason I feel, I don't know how you feel about this, Dale, but he's basically the only reason why Australia are still contenders in this World Cup. He's been, you know, consistent right the way through. So some really challenging, you know, conditions for our batters. But Australia have to get Quinton de Kock out.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we're armed with is a bloke called Josh Hazlewood that's pretty good at hitting that sort of 8-metre zone. That's pretty much all he does. It's his things. And Quinton de Kock is a different player. He's been out 3 times when they hit those hard lengths and averages, I think, 28, you know, as well once you're on that zone. So, you know, there's multiple ways that Australia, I think, in the form that they're in, can perform well against South Africa. And South Africa, maybe, in all seriousness, it's a challenge within their head to get over this hump of the semi-final.
Sure.
If they can do that, then I think they could be a huge chance for the finals.
All right, let's, on that note, Dale, get your thoughts on whether Tabraiz Shamsi walks into this team, given what we've seen at the Eden Gardens. And yes, you can carry on Haydos's point. This could very well come down to how soon Quinton de Kock is dismissed.
Yeah, I feel Shamo is somebody that can come into this team straight away. Eden Gardens is a kind of a ground that, it's a small ground too, you know, and seamers, your second or third schemer that you're going to go in with is somebody that Australia would look to target if South Africa decided to go with that particular player. Whereas the spinner, and in history it tells us too, South Africa against Australia or Australia against any team with good spinners, the spinners seem to do the bulk of the damage. Keshav Raj has gone on to become the #1 spinner in the world. He's going to cause some trouble. And you throw in another spinner there, 20 overs of spin, Australia will have their hands full over there. So I would look at going with Shamsi ahead of a seamer. Would be a much easier option the Aussies to take on, especially on that small ground at Eden Gardens.
Yeah, one of the other key battles I think is the two world class. Would you call them death batters? But Maxwell and Klaassen. You look at the way that they can actually damage and make impact in a one-day game. It could well be the battle of the finishers in many ways.
Klaassen's gone quiet though, hasn't he? Especially in a chase.
He's gone quiet, but he's dangerous. Like he's a little bit like Surya Kumar Yadav. You could say maybe he hasn't had the World Cup, but it's only those that are doing it up in front of those individuals that makes them more effective. And Van der Dusen has been that bloke that's been at number 4 doing consistently well. He's had a really good World Cup to this point. Similar to the way that Shreyas Iyer has performed as well. So that's our challenge. They're the cracks that I'm talking about. The number 4 and number 5, I dare say that they'll have to pick Labuschagne.
Yeah, I'm just going to come to that now. So Labuschagne will keep his place even with Maxwell returning.
I think he'll have to.
Yeah.
I think
so no Stoinis.
I think no Stoinis. I think we'd selected our side the other day. For mine, it's that classic case of do you need the protection of the guys that Dale was talking about there, the spin bowling unit. Labuschagne is that person that gives you a bit more surety if things go wrong through the middle. And Smith is also a master player of spin as well. It might be more of, rather than the crash, bang, wallop semi-final that we've seen in Mumbai, it's more of that sort of tactical batting, that strategic batting, and those willing to take the game really deep under pressure. The pressure cooker of not just any game, a semi-final game, and you've got two calm heads there that can handle conditions that are a little bit more tricky in Labuschagne and Smith.
Right. We talk about this being a very important toss, Dale, because of how strikingly different South Africa's performance has been batting first versus chasing. Let me turn that around for a different question on the same subject. Do you sense it's going to affect South Africa's bowlers if they bowl first? We saw how Rohit Sharma took them down at this venue. Do you sense the bowlers also are a little concerned about the lack of confidence shown when their batters chase?
Actually, even the other way around. I was thinking, even South Africa, if they batted first and they batted well, their bowling lineup is young. Still, they've got KG, but Marco Jansen is pretty young. And then again, just the occasion is a big thing. A semi-final, I've got stats here that people have thrown at me. Since 2016, Australia have won 3 out of 16 games. South Africa have won 13. You can talk about all of this. The last time Australia beat South Africa in a World Cup was in 2007, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Australia, when it comes to semi-finals and finals and knockouts, they have got the wool over anyone in the world, not just South Africa. They know how to win these games, and it's a big thing for South Africa going into this game. If they can get over this hurdle, and I've said this before, I think they can go on to win this World Cup. They might play against India. It's going to be a big task if that's the case. Anyone will play against India. But in this game specifically, Australia just edged South Africa, whether it's batting first or batting second. It doesn't matter. Semi-finals, how to win those big knockout tournaments. They've got guys that have done it multiple times. South Africa, not so much.
Interestingly, I think that Marco Jansen is Dale just rose there. He's a significant bowler to our two left-handers up top who don't like the ball necessarily being tied on off-stump line. They go fishing and chasing, and they're playing super aggressive cricket. And as Steyn will tell you, if I'm going hard at him, it gives him a great opportunity to get me out. And they're key players. I mean, through 2023, they've amassed huge opening partnerships on a consistent basis.
Yep.
So up front, Jansen swinging the ball away from those two could be real key tomorrow.
All right. Dale says no matter what, even though South Africa finished second, Australia's big match experience puts them favourites just, perhaps, regardless of the toss result. Are you saying the same?
I should. Shouldn't I?
But you're not quite sure.
Well, as I said, it's other sides in the World Cup I look at closely and think, we're a red hot chance. When you think back to 2015 World Cup, we had a very good strategic captain in Michael Clark, an excellent team. We had home conditions, albeit New Zealand shared those with us. 2007, 2003, very dominant teams and had great records away from the World Cup as well. So those numbers that Dale just threw up in our face around South Africa and Australia, they're superb numbers for South Africa. But we're great fighters, and when it comes to the pointy end of the stick, and you've got now 7 win record in a row. We're looking pretty solid.
All right, Matthew Hayden, thank you very much. Dale Steyn, we will have you for that semi-final. So big thank you to both you gents. Let's hope it's a good one. Australia-South Africa games certainly have a history of producing the all-odd epic. So let's look forward to that at the Eden Gardens on Thursday. This was our build-up to it on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, powered by Qatar Airways.
Stunning looks, then swift,